FirstLine families, it's me, Mrs. Gentry, our CAO, and I'm here at Samuel J. Green with one of our math teachers who I'll let introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Mallory Warhurst. I teach 8th grade math at Samuel J. Green, and I'm really excited to talk about active monitoring.
So Ms. Warhurst, talk to me a little bit about how do you use ActMo in your classroom?
Yeah, great. I love active monitoring because I think it holds students accountable, first and foremost. At the beginning of the year when we're really focused on behavior, I can see kids working, but really looking at their paper and seeing exactly what mistakes they're making allows me to address those misconceptions and actually be able to create learning in my classroom. I like to create a key so that when I'm giving feedback, it's very clear what the mistake that I'm seeing. And so I can align that directly to the criteria for success. So students know exactly what they missed, and then they can go back and reference and actually create that, pathway to closing the gap. So
when you say you like to create a key, you mean a key for feedback?
Yeah, so depending on what type of problem we're doing, there's going to be a criteria for success listed on their paper. And so each component of the criteria for success, I'll have aligned to maybe a letter or a check or a plus or whatever it is. And I'll put the key up on the board so that when I'm coming around and I'm looking at their work, I can quickly do, D for distribute or, check for whatever it is, and so they can look up on the board and see, I missed that step, and so that they can quickly address that and fix their work.
I love this. So you said a couple of things, dropped a lot of nuggets. A couple of things I want to stamp that you said, though. One is the piece around you have a criteria for success. So when you are actively monitoring, you know exactly what you're monitoring for. I also heard two, you're looking for misconceptions so that you can either give individual student feedback or pull them back. Address that misconception.
Right.
And then the third one I really, really like is this idea around a key.
Yeah.
And it's kids understand what your markings are, because let's be real, we can't give really detailed
There's not a lot of time.
Right? And so I like the idea of there being a key so kids understand where in the steps did I miss something and I need to go back and fix.
Yeah, I think when I was first starting to teach, it's so easy to get stuck on one kid because they're not understanding it. And sometimes their understanding kind of runs pretty deep. And so, or misunderstanding, I mean. And so it's hard to, leave when you don't think that they necessarily fully understand it. But with a key, you can say, this is the specific part you need to go back and look at. Right. And then, me standing there and doing the work for you isn't really going to help them in the long run. So they need to struggle with it, and they need to try to address it themselves.
Right. Yeah. And I would assume too, you're also using kind of the same key on your tracker.
Yep.
So exactly. It gives you the idea of we're all missing this part. Right. So that's something I probably need to address. No.
Yeah. And if it's enough of them, if it's enough of them, then I can stop the whole class and we can,
No, I love that.
Address that.
And so then, in thinking about that and thinking about giving kids feedback and building their independence, how have you seen it show up in their work?
Well, one, I think that, they know I'm coming around. They know I'm going to be watching and working. So there's no fake, pretending to write. There's no, dozing off. They know that I'm waiting for them to start working and going to give feedback on the work. So it holds them accountable to actually doing it. And so I think that that's just a morale boost. And also they feel confident that I'm here actually providing, education to them. And so I think that they get excited to get feedback from me, and I can't come around the room fast enough because they're just they know that I'm actually going to look at it and that there's not really judgment in it, and that they can then learn it themselves and make the corrections that need to happen. So I think that it just gives them confidence that somebody cares and is looking to see that they're actually doing the work, and so they're accountable, and they know I'm going to come around.
I 100% agree. I agree 100%. I think the accountability part plus the structure and the predictability are all things that kids strive for, right? And so you're right. I am almost burst at the seams to get feedback because I know that in Ms. Warhurst's class, I'm going to get feedback and I'm going to get better at what I'm doing.
Right, exactly.
And so it builds my confidence. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. It was so good talking to you.
Yeah.
I am not a math person, right? But I'm looking at the charts. I'm I can figure out how we can build independence here.
Absolutely.
Now, I also see from the kids' perspective of somebody who struggled with math in school, all right, there's somebody here to give me really good feedback to fix things.
Yeah.
And I don't feel bad about it, right? I can build my confidence.
And my kids know that I also struggled with math. Ooh. And I think that me, understanding math from a perspective of someone that didn't get it right away helps them feel understood in that regard. And I think I have a special ability to explain it in ways that make sense to people that don't naturally understand math. And so I think, it makes me a strong teacher if I do say so myself. And
yourself a little bit.
Yeah. And I think that the students, they can appreciate that perspective. Yeah. I feel seen and understood in that way.
No, I agree. And I think the last thing I want to add is I have kind of, I wouldn't say stalk you, but I've come here for observation. I love that when I sometimes walk into a 4th grade classroom, I see you there and you're giving the same amount of feedback and things that you're giving in 8th grade. And so I also like that dedication to not just the kids who are in front of you, but like, you're going to see what's 4th graders someday. And so like, making sure that their foundation is solid. That's so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Of course. I appreciate it. Alrighty.